Alright, what is going on everyone? Derek here today bringing you episode 2 of StoryTime. Now today's story is kind of ridiculous and I'm going to explain why. So when I got my Mustang, I was only able to drive it for like a month. And after that month, I got a horrible rod knock in the motor and the motor was shot. That was like $2,300 and the car had to sit for a good 7 or 8 months. So my dad was kind enough to let me drive his Corvette. Driving the Corvette on a daily basis to car meets, to school, to the stores, everywhere. I was driving the thing everywhere. Me and my buddy Kyle Miller were actually on our way to a car meet one day and we were just sitting at this red light, you know, just shooting the shit, listening to the music, and when it turned green, I'm gonna admit I punched it, and when I punched it, I spun a little bit. Like, now, I'm not saying I sat there and roasted the tires, held the brake, and did a burnout, no. And it's so funny to me because when the car was spinning, my friend Kyle, he was like, whoop, whoop, like a car sound, right? And literally 10 seconds later, an unmarked SUV is going the opposite direction and hits his lights, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I know exactly what happened, and when you're spinning tires like that, you can catch a reckless ticket so easily. This guy hits his brakes so hard where his screeching was louder than me spinning in the first place. So when he did that, I was like, oh fuck, like I'm in trouble, like this is bad. He's pissed. He hits his brakes really hard. The SUV, the whole ass end's coming up because that's how fast he stopped. It was kind of ridiculous. Like I said, like I wouldn't have ran from the guy. I saw his lights coming from the opposite direction, so it's not like I was gonna run. I don't know if that's the intention he thought I had. I had no idea. But so he pulls me over. He comes up to my window and he's pissed. Like he seriously like took it personal. I don't know, it was weird. He was really mad. And he's like, give me your license and registration. I was like, wow, okay, here you go. He's like, Baran, are you Baran's son? And I'm like, no, I'm actually Baran's son. He's a cop as well though. And he's like, oh, well, I know and Baran. And then he has the nerve to go and say, does daddy know you have his car? Just like that. That ticked me off because for one, he's being an asshole. And two, I don't go around claiming my dad's car is mine. Why would I do that? I have my Mustang, you know? Like, why would I go around acting like my dad's Corvette's mine? I had a really smart tone with it. Does daddy know you have his car? And then he goes and says something like, do you even know how to drive this thing? I was just like, what the fuck? Why are you talking like this? Come to find out, like, I started thinking, and I honestly think it was just jealousy, because at the time I was like 17, and I was driving around a beautiful Corvette with my friend in the car, so I'm gonna call him out on jealousy on that one, because why would you go talking to someone like that? Like, the whole daddy's Corvette, do you even know how to drive this thing? Like, clearly it was a form of jealousy, but whatever. So there was a decision he has to make. He either writes me for a reckless or he lets my dad handle me. Keep in mind, at the time I wasn't 18, I was still a minor. So he's like, give me your cell phone. So I give him my cell phone and I have my dad on the line. The phone's ringing. My dad picks up, and this is at like 1 in the morning. My dad picks up and he thought it was me. So he's like, what's up? And the cop walked away with my phone, and I was like, oh my God, what's he telling him? Like, what could he possibly be telling him where he can't tell me in front? The cop's like, here, your dad wants to talk to you. It's like, why are you being such a smart ass right now? Like, there's nothing I can say because I don't need a reckless ticket on my record. Because me and my dad's deal is if I get a reckless ticket, the car's off his insurance. Because I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to pay my own insurance. I just had to pay my car, the motor payments and the loans and shit I've gotten from him. My dad was on the phone and my dad was livid. But who wouldn't be mad? You know, you're driving your dad's Corvette and you're spinning tires. I mean, I'd be pissed if my kid was out there spinning tires in my Corvette. But so after the cop got done talking to my dad, it was time for me to go home. Obviously, I had to drop my friend off. On my way home, I was thinking to myself, wow, I'm in deep shit, because that's very embarrassing for my dad if you think about it. Having another cop call him and tell him I was spinning tires and he's not gonna write me because he's, you know how it works. So I pull in the driveway. I'm cherishing those last seconds before I get bitched at, because you know I do get disciplined, and I was in the wrong. I spun tires, so I totally get that. So I go in the house and my dad's waiting for me in the doorway. He's not happy. And a reminder, this is like 1 in the morning. So he says to me, are you kidding me? From my first reaction, I was like, I'm sorry, I spun tires. He's like, You didn't just spin tires, you were doing donuts in the middle of Broad Street. And at that point, I was like, hold up, wait 1 second. Doing donuts in the middle of Broad Street. For those of you that don't know the difference between a donut and a burnout, I'm gonna show you really quick. So this first one right here is a donut. As you can see, the car is doing 360s in the middle of the road. Now this is a burnout. The car is stationary besides the rear tires, and the tires are smoking up. So those are the two differences, and they're a big difference. Now, if I could do a donut in the middle of Broad Street, that'd be pretty impressive, you know, because that'd be cool. I've never done that before, especially in my dad's Corvette. When he told me that, I didn't know what to think. I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me right now? This cop straight up told my dad I was doing donuts in the middle of Broad. So when I got home, my dad was more heated than I thought he was. He was beyond pissed. He was ready to start slaying. I was like, Dad, think about what you're saying. Doing a donuts in Broad Street. Dad, I don't want to even try that. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. We got done washing the car, and typically when you leave a car wash, you're always dripping. It's always gonna be wet. There's gonna be a soapy texture on the ground, whatnot. And I'm not blaming it on that. I punched it. I'm not gonna even sit here and lie. I punched the car when I left. So the mixture between the soapiness on the ground and it not having traction and me punching it, it's gonna spin. Like, I totally admit that. But so for the cop to pull me over and be a smartass like he was, and to tell my father I was doing donuts in the middle of Broad Street, he was setting me up to get an ass whipping. Seriously, think about that. Like, the guy was he was obviously jealous. I'm not gonna bash on him because he didn't write me. Any other 17-year-old driving a Corvette and spinning the tires in the middle of the road, I'm sorry, you probably would get a ticket. And I got off the hook because I told him, I was like, look, I explained to him that I just left the car wash, and yes, I did accidentally punch it. Okay, it might not have been accidentally, but I still punched it. And a side note, I wasn't holding it. Like, it's not like I punched it and held it and let the bitches spin. No, I punched it and it spun, and it made a really loud chirp though. And it's just mind-blowing because I don't even know how he heard that. Like, he was a good 100, 200 feet up, and I didn't notice him. He was an unmarked SUV. I don't know, it was just like a regular four-door, so I wouldn't have known. If I would have known, I wouldn't have done it, obviously. So that's really the story for today. I thought it was kind of funny just because of the reaction I got from the cop. Like, I wasn't expecting him to be like, oh, this is Daddy's car. Do you know how to drive Daddy's car? Does Daddy know you're out here? Like, no shit. Who wouldn't know? Do you think I'm going to steal my dad's Corvette at 1 in the morning and just go for a joyride, spin the tires, you know, do donuts in the middle of the road? No, dude. But like I said, I can only complain so much about the situation with the cop. I'm very fortunate he didn't write me. I got very lucky, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, before we wrap this up, I'm going to do my first Q&A. And this question is asked by Turn Up the Boost. I'm going to leave his YouTube channel link in the description below. And he asked me, how do you mount your camera? Now, recently I went on Amazon and I looked for suction cup mounts. And when I buy stuff, like equipment-wise, I like to buy quality, you know? Like, I'd rather pay more and get something better than something cheap and it worked horribly. So I actually bought the Delkin triple suction cup mount. So when I bought this, I didn't want to spend more than 115 bucks for one. And this one's roughly $90, so for the hell of it, I checked to see how much overnight shipping was. And believe it or not, it was only $10. So, of course I did it. Who wouldn't want to do that? Get it the next morning. I had it the next morning, literally. So if you guys enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to hear more, please hit that subscribe button, guys. We are growing every day, and I can't stress it enough how exciting it is. I actually have like a little job opportunity coming up. I don't want to spill the beans yet because I want to make sure everything's set in stone, but there is a very good chance I'm going to be working with some celebrities and their cars, which is super exciting to me. But until then, y'all take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.